Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Megan from Modern Moon Quilt Studio, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make flying geese four at a time, going over the math, how to piece them, and how to trim them. Keep watching. Before we can start making these flying geese with the four at a time method, you're going to have to cut a few squares of fabric, and to do that you're going to have to do a little bit of math. These formulas are based on the finished dimensions of the flying geese block. So take the finished width and add 1.5 inches, and this is going to be the dimensions of the one large square. You're also going to need to cut 4 small squares, and this is going to be the finished height plus 1 inch. So for example, if you're trying to make a flying geese block that is 2 inches high by 4 inches wide, you are going to have to cut one large square that's 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches in 4 smaller squares that are 3 inches by 3 inches. And if you're looking for a little cheat sheet, here is a chart covering some of the popular sizes of finished flying geese blocks. You'll notice that the height to width is always a 1:2 ratio. Go ahead and pause it and take a screenshot if you'd like. Once you have all 5 squares cut, go ahead and mark the back side of all of the smaller squares corner to corner diagonally with something like an air-soluble marker like I'm using here, or whatever marking method you prefer. Once they're all marked, you're going to take 2 of the small squares and place them right sides together with the large square, and you're going to do one in one corner and another small square in the opposite corner. Make sure you pin everything in place and then take it over to the sewing machine. To piece this together, sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance down both sides of the drawn line. Once you have this stitched together, you're going to cut this block in half diagonally by cutting directly on the drawn line. And then go ahead and press those seams open. You can press to the side. I prefer to press open just to reduce some of the bulk. So now you should have 2 of these L-shaped blocks. So this next part you're going to actually do twice to get 4 flying geese. So take another one of the smaller squares and place it in the corner lined up with the edges. And you want to make sure that the drawn line is pointed in the direction shown here. And go ahead and pin that into place. And once again, we're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam on both sides of the drawn line. And we're going to cut this block in half one more time, again cutting directly on the drawn line to separate this into 2 flying geese. And we're going to go ahead and press that seam open again, and the last thing we have left to do is trim this down to size. To trim your flying geese, you can use specialty rulers made specifically for trimming flying geese blocks, but I like to just use my regular acrylic quilting ruler that has a 45-degree line on it. To trim and square up these flying geese blocks, line up that 45-degree line with one of the seams of the block. Now there's 2 things that you're going to need to make sure that are lining up before you make any cuts. Make sure the tip of that center triangle is lined up with the center of the block. So for example, I'm trimming these blocks down to 10.5 inch wide. So I'm going to make sure the tip of that middle triangle is at the 5.25 inch mark. You also need to make sure that you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance just past the tip of that center triangle. And once you have those first 2 sides trimmed, you can flip either the ruler or the block 180 degrees and then trim the last 2 sides, just double checking that everything is still squared, centered, and your dimensions are correct. And there you have the 4 at a time flying geese method. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content. Have a great day.